How should Broadcom respond to regulatory scrutiny of its VMware deal?
Important to remember that this transaction is being looked at by many different regulators. So in particular, there are three main investigations going on, competition investigations going on. There is one by the FTC in America. That was the first one to be initiated. Then there is the European Commission, which has jurisdiction for all of the member states of the European Union, not the UK anymore, because obviously the UK is outside of the EU now following Brexit. And then the UK Competition and Markets Authority, or CMA. So the European Commission and the FTC their investigations have been ongoing for longer than the UK, so they are nearer to their conclusion. But each of those authorities has raised significant concerns with the transaction, and the concerns they've raised are similar, really, for all three authorities. And in fact, I think it likely, in fact, common that all three authorities will be talking to each other, about their investigations. That's very common in these situations. So I think what Broadcom has decided is that it will fight all of these investigations on the same term, and that is why it has not. So in the UK investigation, what happened was the CMA carried out its phase 1 review, and it raised significant concerns with the transaction, and they are similar concerns to the ones raised by the European Commission and the FTC in the US. They then said to Broadcom, well, you have now 5 days to come up with undertakings to remedy our concerns, and Broadcom said we don't have any undertakings to offer. So what they've done is they said let's go to phase 2 and let's fight it out in phase 2. In other words, let's have the same debates that we are having with the European and the American authorities about the competitive impact of this transaction. So do you see they are basically now fighting the same battle with each of the three regulators. And really what they're saying is we don't want to give undertakings at this stage. We want to focus on whether this really does harm competition, and then depending on what the findings are in that regard, they will then have to decide whether they give undertakings or whether undertakings are needed to get this transaction cleared.
Which regulator do you think is the most challenging for Broadcom?
To be honest with you, I think they are all on the same footing. They're equally challenging because they, as I said, they are really, in a way, they are collaborating with each other, and their investigations are they're not running in parallel timing-wise, but they are running in parallel from a substantive point of view, from a tactical point of view. So I think they are all challenging. I think the US one is probably the most challenging because they are probably the fiercest authority in regards to these type of mergers, and there are obviously political issues as well because of the access to these the hardware and the software as well built in. What's interesting about this transaction is that it is a vertical merger. So what I mean by that, in competition law, we have horizontal mergers and vertical mergers. Horizontal mergers are those between parties in the same market. Vertical mergers are where they are in related but separate markets, and that is the case here because VMware obviously is a software provider, whereas Broadcom is obviously providing the hardware. So they are what the authorities are looking at is whether by having the vertical relationship, Broadcom can harm competition on either the upstream market or the downstream market for software. And their concerns are mainly around the interoperability between the software and the hardware, and whether Broadcom will be able and incentivized to make it more difficult for other of their competitors to integrate with VMware, because VMware is very important in the software market. So that is the focus of the investigation.